Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Josie Show. My name is Josie, and I am the redheaded libertarian. My guest tonight is Owen Shroyer. Welcome, Owen.
Howdy, great to be back.
Yeah, I love having you on my show. We always have so much fun. For those of people who live under a rock, who are you? What do you do?
Well, I'm the host of the Owen Report, live 3 to 6 p.m. Central weekdays. I do a lot of political commentary, you might say, geopolitics, foreign politics, domestic policy. I've done a bit of political activism in my career as well. It's landed me in jail too many times to count now. It's gotten me censored too many times to count. I have two rules, and that's have fun, always have fun, and just try to see the other side if you possibly can. So we try to approach politics like that in this crazy time.
Excellent. I love that. Well, we're going to be talking about the news of the day today. I don't want to talk about the Candace and Andrew debate because I feel like everybody is just exhausted by that all day long. But if you want to say something about it, you can get your piece out.
No, I kind of, when people were asking if I was going to watch it, I said I really didn't have any interest. I did watch it for, commentary reasons, just to make sure if people did ask, I could comment on it. But I think people have pretty much already made up their mind. I don't even know if the trial will change many people's minds. Either they believe the official narrative or they don't. I don't really know if you could say anybody won. I think it just depends on whether you believe the official narrative or not. And that's how you decide who won the debate.
Yeah, I only saw clips that went live. I didn't watch. I'm just going to watch the betting markets. So whatever happens.
Well, there was a major impact. The debate tanked Tyler Robinson's chances of getting convicted. So I don't know if that matters to anybody, but that did happen after the debate.
Yeah, I mean, people make up their own minds, and if they put their money behind it, it's got to be pretty powerful stuff. So
yeah.
All right. Well, the first story I wanted to cover today was the USS George Washington is headed to the Middle East to relieve USS Abraham Lincoln. I think it's funny that it's two presidents, but all right. So the aircraft carrier USS George Washington will be sent to the Arabian Sea to replace the USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been deployed for more than 250 days. And that is obscene. If you're in the Navy with no ports, that is wild. A Navy official confirmed the move to the Stars and Stripes, which is the article I'm reading. George Washington, the Navy's only forward deployed aircraft carrier, is based in Japan. The decision to send Washington to the region was part of a regularly scheduled deployment. The change comes amid reports of sailors aboard the Lincoln struggling with the strain of the lengthy deployment, including reports of attempts by some of the crew members to jump overboard. Now, there are their food is rotted. They're getting rations that nobody should get. They're eating rice and tortillas, which isn't substantial at all. They haven't had milk in 3 months. So what are your thoughts on this?
This story started to creep into the media a couple weeks ago, and you could tell people were either hesitant to touch it because they didn't want to offend the Trump administration, which I think happens a lot these days, or they just weren't convinced that it was real. Now, if you follow news like I do, you get a pretty good spidey sense, if you will, about what is a good lead, what is a bad lead. And when I saw this starting to creep into the media a couple weeks ago, I said, no, this is the real deal. And they're probably in a cover-up attempt right now, but it's not going to work. It'll take a week or two, but eventually it's going to be mainstream. And it seems like maybe we have just hit the tip of the iceberg, Josie. I don't know if we're really getting the full story here. A lot of people doubt that we're even getting the true death count from this war. So I think you could have a similar thing happening with the morale issues as far as the details, people jumping off ships or, the food rations, whatever it is that the problem is. I think there's just an overall morale issue. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, one, they were told this wouldn't happen. They were told we wouldn't have another war in the Middle East. There wouldn't be any new wars. But, okay, you join the military, you do your job. But now, two, now you're being lied to about what's happening, and you're being overextended your normal hours or your normal days at sea. And so now it's just becoming a serious issue. I think morale is down across the military, and it's even more diabolical that Pete Hegseth and President Trump love to tout the fact that they have record recruitment numbers. Well, these numbers happened right after Trump got elected. The record recruitment happened after Trump promised no new wars, after Trump said we're done going to forever wars in the Middle East. I think a lot of people joined because they actually believed him. Now, I don't know how many of those individuals are actually deployed right now, but I think there's an overall attitude that, hey, we were told this wouldn't be happening. Now it is, and it's kind of worse than it's ever been before. And I don't know if you saw, it finally was asked to President Trump, what do you think about the situation on the USS Lincoln? And he basically scoffed at it. And then it sounded like he was scolding the individuals that were on the ship. And he says they need to be deployed longer. It sounded like it was almost, how dare you say anything? How dare you send a text message to your family? How dare you tell any American what the reality of the morale or the situation on these ships are? It seems like it was a punishment. Like, you know what? I'm going to keep you out there longer. You ought to be deployed longer. Like, you ought to be grateful for me for saying no new wars and then sending you to Iran, even though I said we won it a year ago. So I just think morale is down in the military, a lot like it's down across MAGA. I think that these two things are very connected, but they have a very tight seal, I think, on the information coming off of these ships or coming off of these bases where people are deployed or active in this war right now. I think they're pretty good at keeping the negativity from reaching home. But I have a feeling with this story, it could be just the tip of the iceberg.
Donald Trump had said something, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, we haven't deployed to Iran enough. It was something that was like, are we going to put boots on the ground?
Yeah, long enough. He said, you haven't been deployed long enough. The reporter asked, do you think they've been deployed too long? And he said, I don't think they've been deployed long enough.
That is just, so what are your thoughts on the coalition? I mean, we did that debate together back in May, but what are your thoughts on the coalition now? Like, this war doesn't look like there's any end in sight. And do you think that they can win the midterms with the coalition in shambles?
The House doesn't look good right now. I think the Democrats pretty safe. They're going to have a double-digit lead in the House. Right now, I got the Senate 50-50. I think that it could come down to Alaska at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
A lot is going to happen, though. A lot is going to happen in the Michigan race specifically. I could see that one being very topsy-turvy. Maybe Ohio as well, maybe North Carolina. These are the ones I'm looking at that I think could be a little topsy-turvy. Georgia doesn't look good. Not to get too wonky into it, but to get back to the question, I think the question is, are people going to show up for Republicans? I feel like as far as the coalition is concerned, it's already moved on. The coalition is already broken. Whatever political capital Trump had with MAGA, he already spent it all. It's dead. The new coalition is building right now behind Joe Kent, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. We all kind of see this happening, Tucker Carlson. So they're starting to form a new coalition. They've reached out to the left. I think the Republicans' issue is going to be, is anybody excited to go vote? Do people want to go vote? I think the Democrats are feeling good. They know Trump is not popular. They see the approval ratings down. They might kind of look at that as, okay, now's our time to strike. That can be like a motivational factor of, okay, he's weak, he's down. We can go vote for Democrats and maybe take control of the Congress here for the next session. The coalition is not showing up to vote for Trump. It's just a matter of, will they show up at all? Will they do a spite vote for Democrats, or are people still, a lot of the victories in 2024 that gave Republicans the three branches of government or Congress and the White House is the fact people were sick of Democrats. I don't know if that phenomenon is still enough to give Republicans an edge in an election. But right now, I'd say it doesn't look good. I think a lot of Trump supporters are staying home. I think there'll be a small faction of Trump voters that will vote Democrat just out of spite. And because of that, I don't know. I think this one's going to be pretty tough.
I know, speaking as a libertarian for the libertarians, and I'm not a party libertarian, I'm a small L libertarian, that faction is completely demoralized, and demoralized people don't vote. Like, Trump did really well in the first 3 months. The first 3 months, he did great. He was fulfilling promise after promise after promise. And then it was like a switch flipped and the promises stopped. And then it like went backward. And then the worst things imaginable, the things that were like, okay, this is what you really can't do, he started doing all those things. And I feel like he's starting to kind of, not with the war. He's declared, how many times has he declared victory over there in Iran now? Like 6 times. We've won the war like 6 times.
6? I'm trying like 60.
We keep winning the war. It's great. We're like, 16-0 against Iran. It's wonderful.
No, somebody actually did the count. Mm-hmm. It was a couple weeks ago. Somebody did the count. It was 42 a couple weeks ago. I think we're probably approaching 50 now.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Josie, if you pull up my social media, if you pull up my X right now, I just happened to find this before I came on with you. Trump put up a post in June of last year declaring world peace.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And you know what's even funnier? And if you go into the replies of this post of Trump declaring world peace last June, because you remember, Josie, the phenomenon you just broke down, and I kind of forget the order of events here, but there was like 3 strikes you're out for me. They ended the Doge operation. We remember the Elon Musk fallout.
Mm-hmm.
He was clearly starting another war with Iran. We knew they were lying when they said it was going to be just 12 days or 2 weeks, or we got rid of the nuclear program, it's over. We knew that was a lie, but okay, so he showed signs we're starting a war with Iran. Then he called the Epstein files a hoax, told you to stop talking about it, and said he didn't want your vote if you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was strike 3, you're out. I mean, for me, it was like this is it. Whatever relationship or whatever connection we had to Trump, it's gone. Whatever agenda mandate we had elected him to initiate as president, it's dead. And this is all going the other direction, just like you said. So we kind of remember that last summer. And it's just amazing when you go read those replies. They were calling us panicans. I shared a post from Bill Mitchell that he posted in, I think it was March this year. He said, in 2 months, the Iran war will be over. Gas will be $2 a gallon, and Trump will be getting the Nobel Peace Prize. And so you go back and you look how they make fun of you if you don't believe Trump. They make fun of you. They say the war will be over tomorrow. The oil prices will be down. You guys will look like fools. And so you just go back. You just go back in time. You look at the replies to that post, and you see they were all wrong.
Yep.
Every single one of them was wrong. And they still attack us for being right. And they still get mad at us for being right. And it's pure cult behavior now, Josie. Pure cult behavior we're exhibiting from whatever is left of MAGA and Trump support.
You remember Dave Rubin? Trump will not close the strait. Like, and it was like really smug. It was really smug. And everyone knew it was going to happen, but he was like, it's not going to happen. Panicans, it's panicans is such a weak insult, but I guess it's better than some of the things that they call it.
We were called deplorables. So, I mean, it's not much worse. But see, this is why I have my groundhog right here, Josie, because we're in Groundhog Day. Every day we win the war. Every day the strait is open. Every day the strait is closed. So this is our Groundhog Day. It's our Groundhog Day news cycle. Every day we wake up, it's the same story. And so we've got our little groundhog here. His name is Boomer.
I love him. This is the only Boomer that I love. And it's a groundhog.
Wow. Well, there he is. Boomer the groundhog. Been very popular lately. He's serving his role nicely.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And it's very big coming from you to be like, I'm done, I'm out, because you've gone to jail for President Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into that, but I said this in December of 2024. I said, before we inaugurate Trump and we get into this next season of crazy politics, I said specifically, remember what you stand for, not who you stand for, because a lot of things are going to change. I said, remember what, not who. And so now you see there are people out there that stand for who, and then there are people out there that stand for what. I happen to be somebody that's based in principle, integrity, logic, truth, consistency, keeping promises. MAGA they've seemed to abandon all of that. The only formations they know is defend Trump, run propaganda for Trump, accept Trump's lies, and attack anybody that's calling it out. So it's just crazy when you go back in time and you look at all of this. We continue to be proven right with our political coverage. In fact, I had a lady, Josie, you may remember her name. I forgot her name. I think it was like Esti Patel or something. She did the Kamala Harris impressions. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, real nice lady. And she replies to a video I shot like a year or two ago, and she says, "Oh, Owen, you're just more obsessed with being right than supporting Trump." And I'm just like, I don't know what it is you do. My job is kind of to be right. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm wrong about everything, nobody's going to listen to my daily show. If I'm wrong about my political commentary, then I should probably retire. So, yeah, I am more inclined to want to be right than to support Donald Trump, specifically if he's wrong. So it was comments like that really showed me it's like I'm more disappointed really in the people, I think, Josie. A politician, selling us out, a politician becoming a liar, hell, a billionaire putting money first. It's like all of that is almost expected, So you kind of just say, all right, Trump just became one of them. But to watch the people that we were arm in arm with in this movement, to watch the people that we fought like hell to give the Republicans Congress and the White House to fulfill our mandate, to watch them go sour, to watch them abandon the principles, to watch them turn on us like zombies looking for brains. I think that's been the more painful part of this. Now I'm fully over it. I've totally turned heel now, and I'm just facing them head on now. I'm just charging right at them. It's just been too long, and there's almost no doubt anymore that it's gone. Whatever Trump was doing for us, it's not happening anymore. But it is wild when you go back in time and you look at that, and it's like, when are they going to come around? When are they going to come around and realize that this administration is not doing what it's supposed to do? And it might be too late. It might already be too late. But I mean, as far as the midterms, that could be it could get real nasty, because I think the Democrats, if they take the House and the Senate, if we thought the first administration in the second half was bad, I think this one is going to be 10 times worse. And I think the impeachments that they're going to run, they're not going to be fake like what they did in the first administration. This time they're going to be very, very real. And I think they have multiple loose ends that they can start tugging here that are going to wind right back up to Donald Trump. And for whatever reason, nobody around him is warning him of this. I think they got him on the strikes, the drug boat strikes. I think they got him on Venezuela, potentially, an undeclared war. I think they got him on undeclared war in Iran. I think they got him on blowing up, 200 schoolgirls. I think they got him on insider trading. Who knows what else they got on with all this construction projects that they have going on in D.C. that they can't even finish. Mm-hmm. This time, if they get in and they do impeachments, they're going to be real. They're going to have teeth.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And when the bombing happened of those 200 schoolgirls, I was like, that if there's an impeachment, this is what's going to drive it home, because that just it breaks my heart. I noticed we had 5 people storm out during that rant, but that's too bad, because we're about to praise Mike Huckabee. We're about to praise Mike Huckabee, and they left.
They're not going to want to come back. They're not going to like my take on that one either. So
yeah. All right. So Mike Huckabee, I had told you, I was like, it's kind of been a relatively slow news week. Like, we haven't had really anything real big happen, but I was like, but I'm going to look into this, because I think hell might have frozen over, because the U.S. ambassador, Mike Huckabee, slammed the Israeli settlers for their treatment of Palestinians and the Christians over there in Gaza. And I was like, you're kidding me. Yeah, I had to go find the article. I thought it was like a Grok misquote when I read it. And no, he actually did. And he did it on X. He said it on X. Yep. So let me just read a little bit about this. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee called settlers besieging a West Bank home of an American Palestinian family terrorists. A standoff in the Israeli-occupied West Bank has caught the attention of the Trump administration. A group of Israeli settlers besieged Palestinians in their homes for days, and one of the homes belongs to a U.S. citizen. Yeah, see, this is where it's going to get a little bit shady. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, took the unusual step of calling the Israeli settlers, quote, terrorists. For more, we're joined by NPR's, yeah, it's an NPR article. So anyway, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we were all shocked, like you, when we first saw it. Like, no way. One of the biggest sellouts to Israel we've ever seen in American politics, Mike Huckabee. He's even earned the name Mike Huckabee because of his performances with the loyalty to Israel. When I first saw this, I was taken aback in a good way. I thought, wow, maybe there's finally a red line being crossed here. Maybe the morals and the ethics of this man have finally found themselves. Maybe he's finally reached deep, deep down into whatever is left of his soul, and he's found it. And then you come to find out, well, what are they doing in response? They're bringing in the IDF, Josie. Aww. They're bringing in the IDF. Now let's just hit pause on that, and let's go back. You, as well as I, know that the Israelis, if they're going to call them terrorists now, that calling them terrorists is kind of the crazy thing about this, because now I guess we can all use it. So if we're going to start calling the Israelis terrorists now, well, then let's start calling them terrorists every time they behave like this, because they've been behaving like this for at least the last 6 months. They've been going into Palestine. They've been going into the Golan Heights. We could talk about Lebanon, but let's specifically talk about the West Bank. When Trump was signing the peace deals, he said explicitly that the West Bank was off limits. He said it no, not mincing of words, no doubt about it, Israel cannot go into the West Bank. He said it with authority. He guarantees that's not going to happen, mostly because these are traditional Christian villages, and they don't want the IDF taking it over. Well, that didn't even last a week. The Israeli terrorists started going into the West Bank less than a week after Trump said that. He remained silent. Somebody finally brought it up to him at some point, and he kind of scoffed at it like he didn't believe it. I don't know what that was. He might not have known, but he hadn't said anything since. And we've seen the Israelis do this. The Israelis have been terrorizing the West Bank against what Donald Trump guaranteed would not happen for months now. And so why all of a sudden does Mike Huckabee want to address it? Maybe it's because that American, maybe it's because the American was there, but hold on. Israel is currently holding an American prisoner. Israel has a young American Palestinian woman prisoner right now, and we're not getting any information about that, by the way. There's like total silence on that. So, okay, is it really that angle? I don't know. They've kind of ignored that before. So then I just can't help but reach the most obvious conclusion, because it's the same conclusion or it's the same outcome everywhere else. They're just going to take the land. This is just their excuse to bring in the IDF so they can take the land. They knew if they brought in the IDF, if it's just Israeli settlers going in there, maybe Bibi and the IDF and the rest have some plausible deniability, right? It's like, oh, these are just random Israelis. They're not with us. We didn't know anything about this, right? They're just going in there and doing this on their own. So, okay, now Huckabee has the excuse, we got terrorists in the West Bank. Call up the IDF. And now they've got their excuse. Now the IDF has their clearance to go there and probably blow the whole place up and take the land. Sorry, I can't help it. This is like if you watch the same show over and over and over again and you get the same outcome, it's like, what's going to happen at the end of Scooby-Doo, Josie?
They're going to take the mask off, and it's going to be the guy that was the friend, and then he's going to say, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
They're going to take the mask off and catch the bad guy, right? Every episode of Scooby-Doo. So it's like, if I'm watching Scooby-Doo, I don't know what's going to happen 3 minutes into the episode. Maybe I don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes into the episode. But I damn well know at the end of that episode, they're going to take off that mask and they're going to reveal the bad guy. So I'm just watching Israel behave in their region. I'm just watching what Israel does in Palestine. And it's, you know what? Of course they're going to take the land. I'd be foolish. I'd be foolish to think they're not going to take the mask off in Scooby-Doo. I'd be foolish to not think Israel isn't going to take the land. So that's my bet. I think it's a big head fake. I think it's an excuse to bring them in. It's sad. It's sad that that's the conclusion I have to assume. It's sad that that's the conclusion I have to reach. But as I've been told, I like being right. And that's what I think is right.
There are things that are happening that I think are right. And I hope to God that I'm wrong. Like
I've never wanted to be wrong more, Josie.
No, I do. So Israel, they have a greater Israel. Then this is the land that they feel entitled to through the Old Testament. They feel entitled to certain parts of land. And if you look at, apart from Iran, where they're bombing, that's because Iran is the boogeyman. But everywhere else that they're bombing, like southern Lebanon, and everywhere they want to expand into, like Turkey, for instance, they're all, the areas they want to, they all line up perfectly with greater Israel. So this is, the conspiracy theory. Like, it's just a conspiracy. It's like, no, well, where they're bombing is lining up perfectly with the land that they feel entitled to, that they feel they have land rights to. So they feel great about that. It was actually Nick Fuentes who said something that really got me like alarmed today, because I hadn't really thought of it. He said, and he's not somebody I like watch regularly. It just kind of came up when I was scrolling. He said, who would a Trump assassination benefit? He said, so they keep saying Iran is trying to assassinate Trump, right?
But of course, that doesn't benefit Iran at all.
No, exactly. Iran, we're running out of weapons. Everybody, this war is so unpopular. Iran kind of has us right where they want us. They're like, they're going to run out of time. We're waiting for the next president to come in, midterms, like whatever. We're right where they want us. Why would they try to kill our president? If they killed our president, you know what we do, right? Nuke the shit out of them. We would ice that. We would glass that place if they touched our president. That's what we would do. That's what we would have to do. So if, God forbid, they did something to our president, who benefits from that? Israel. Israel benefits.
Yeah.
So I don't want anything to happen to President Trump at all, but they keep saying the crazy Ukrainian, or the crazy guy that joined the Ukrainian war, right? The second assassination attempt, like Iran did that too. It's like, no, he didn't, and so then
Ryan Roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then people are getting wise, and they're like, maybe Iran isn't giving us intelligence that's true, like when Trump's switching the plane, Like, maybe that wasn't true. Maybe Israel's not giving us true intelligence.
Well, I've got another theory about the plane switch, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find any Israeli intelligence that ended up being true.
Yeah.
I mean, we can sit here and go down the list. It's a very long list. I mean, weapons of mass destruction, not true. Iran, days away from a nuke for 50 years, not true. I mean, we can go on and on. Remember, it was Israeli intelligence that was feeding members of Congress 2 years ago that Iran had a drone mothership off the East Coast. That was totally BS. That was just false Israeli intelligence to make us hate Iran. Even Trump called that one out. So you can go on with the bad intelligence. I don't know. Has Israel ever given us good intelligence? And maybe Trump is afraid for his life. Maybe that is why Israel's getting everything at once. I mean, you call it conspiratorial, but it's like, hey, we're trying to make sense of things here. In case you haven't noticed, things aren't adding up in D.C.
Absolutely. And I mean, Trump doesn't want to investigate anything into the first assassination attempt. He shut that down. I mean, even for the firefighters, Corey, I'm sorry, I can't say his last name.
Contemporary.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yes. So even his wife is like, I want to investigate. I want to know what happened. And so Trump's not looking into it at all. And I wonder if he knows who tried to kill him, and that's why he's not looking into it.
Well, remember, they also called Joe Kent off a scent on the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yep.
That also happened.
Yes, exactly. I had interviewed him a few weeks ago, and I asked him directly about that. I'm like, why? Why'd they pull you off of that? And they said, we have our guy. We don't need you to look anymore. And he's not guilty, though. There are other ways. And what I had told Joe Kent, I said, you know what really got me about the Charlie Kirk assassination? Nobody blamed Iran. No one blamed Iran at all. It was like all the people they didn't want because he would have opened up a case into every foreign country. That's what he had said. He would have looked at, like, it just opened it up to the world. Let's see who was involved, right? But everybody who's pro-Israel is also pro-Fed narrative. They do not want this opened up because I think on some level, many of them are afraid that they're going to find something that Israel could be attached to it, or they don't want to give credence to people who believe that to begin with. So they didn't even suggest that it could be Iran, who is responsible for literally every other thing that's bad in this world, according to them.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Candace brought something like that up in the debate today. I think it was one of the most important moments, actually, of the debate. And they were kind of getting into the aspect of, it's like, well, why are you doubting the official narrative? It's like, aside from, because they were asking, like, gut feeling, all this stuff, right? And so they were kind of just going down the list. Why? And I remember this, and she did a pretty good job, I think, vocalizing it, but I think she could have even done a better job, quite frankly, because I remember when it happened, we were all very shocked, obviously emotional. I remember the first video I shot after that was, basically saying this has to be a leftist, right? I mean, all the signs point to this being a leftist. We're all in shock right then. We're all, angry, upset, all the different emotions running hot, watching that. It's brutal. And you go right there. That's obviously the first assumption. It's right there. And so I remember being very upset. I remember everything directionally was leftist. This is outrageous. We're being terrorized. The Trump administration has to do something about this behavior. And it was really, as you said, it was like the response from the people closest to Charlie were the ones that were driving me away from it was a leftist. Their behavior surrounding the assassination days later was so strange, from trying to rewrite the narrative on how Charlie felt about the war and about Israel influence in his final, months on this planet, to try to rewrite the narrative of the things that were happening at donor meetings and the things that were going on in chat messages, and just really blatantly lying about this stuff. And then, like you said, there was a clear pattern of behavior, almost like perfectly down the line. The same neocons that all support the war in Iran were all rushing to the same Fed slop, rushing to the same narrative, like trying to shove it down your throat. And I think for us, it wasn't even that we were sniffing that direction. It wasn't even like I was sniffing like professional assassination, foreign interest, whatever. It was like all of a sudden this heavy-handed propaganda was like, hey, wait a second, I've seen this before. I know what this looks like. I know what false narratives and building looks like. It's like this has all the earmarks of that. And so that's when we really started to get suspicious. And notice, they did the one FBI press conference, which was a joint FBI state press conference, the only one they've ever done. I've never seen an event like this where they do one press conference. It's not even a real press conference. They didn't even really take questions. They never did a follow-up explaining any of the things that they were doing. You've been covering this for years. Whenever there's a big event like this, they usually do at least two. They'll do the opening one, maybe take some questions, some concerns, but lay out the basic facts they have. And then if they can reach a conclusion, they'll come back and do a second one, and they'll do a presentation. And they'll say, this is what we have here. This is why we think he was here. This is why we think this is him on the camera, all of this stuff. We never even saw that in the pretrial. Now, maybe that's a strategy with the lawyers in there, but it's like we've never even had that presentation. So then all of a sudden the narrative started getting weird. Things didn't adding up in the narrative. We put the clear distinguishing line of, well, who's the one pushing the fake narrative? It's the same people that are pushing the neocon foreign interest slop. And it's just like, well, what other conclusion are we supposed to reach, except at least some suspicion in that direction? And then the more defensive they got, I think that really they were the ones that fueled the fire. I think that it was mostly the people that were pushing it for whatever reason. And maybe there is a legitimate reason. I don't know. But I feel like that's what really pushed people into, let's say, the conspiracy theory world of it, was the response to it was just so insane. So then we started to look closer at the details, and then the details didn't add up. And then you got treated like you're a crazy person for not believing the federal government about an assassination. And now you're scratching your head like, what? What the hell? And now you're in the twilight zone. Welcome to 2026.
If there is not Fed involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination, it would be an anomaly. Every single big assassination attempt, like we're looking into them, the information gets released about them, and it has Fed involvement. Every single one of them. So if this one didn't, it would be an absolute anomaly. And I had my thoughts about what happened to Charlie because Charlie's a friend of mine, and I know which of my tweets Charlie was liking in the last week of his life. So I know what was on his mind and what was in his heart. And I had the minute he was shot, I had my thoughts. So I won't get any deeper into that, but I didn't think it was a leftist.
It is a funny thing to see who likes what, isn't it?
It is.
People would be shocked if they saw who was liking my stuff.
Yeah, my favorite thing is when I was dragging Lindsey Graham, I lost like 400 followers for saying that Lindsey Graham's sister is going to be anointed as the new Lindsey Graham. 400.
Ugh.
Yep. But anyway, it's interesting when I was dragging Lindsey Graham, which like I've done my entire ex career is dragging Lindsey Graham. The day he died, I just, said maybe he can look for Mitch McConnell down there. But it was interesting to see which politicians were liking the things that I was saying. Very interesting. All right. Well, we got about 4 more minutes. Yeah, I can just, I guess, wrap a little bit early because we're going to talk for like 20 more minutes if I ask any more of these questions that I have listed here. But where can people find you and support your work?
Owen Shroyer 1776 on X, rumble.com/Owen. I'm hoping people follow me on YouTube. That's kind of the best place for me right now. YouTube, Owen Report. Give me a follow there, a subscribe there. If you want to listen to the show archives, we're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, the Owen Report.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you, and stay free.